Welcome to another edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com Deep Dive presented by EnTrust IT Solutions. This week's guest is High Limit Racing co-owner Kyle Larson. But before we kick things off, don't forget to check out the folks at EnTrust. EnTrust IT Solutions is a full-service technology company serving small and medium-sized businesses in New York, Pennsylvania, and surrounding areas. The staff at EnTrust take a personalized approach to technology. See why customers are choosing EnTrust IT Solutions as their technology partner by scheduling a free consultation at www.entrust-msp.com or call 717-292-8868. Kyle, thanks for joining us on the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
No problem. I know you're busy, so we're going to start firing right away. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was High Limit and kind of some of the perception of your role in High Limit. And I think people kind of think that you're just putting your name on it. And after talking to some of the people behind the scenes at High Limit, that's not the case. So what is your role at High Limit? You're a busy guy, but you definitely you're busy with High Limit as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would say I'm probably not as involved on the day-to-day stuff as, say Brad is, but I don't know. I mean, I don't really even know what my role is. I guess I'm more like throw out ideas or, help decide on what ideas are good or maybe not good or things to push down the road. Because I don't know. I think I've got a fair amount of experience now racing and not only sprint cars but NASCAR and seeing ideas that are brought to those big industries and things. And so I feel like I bring some ideas to the table for us. And so I'm sure there's way more than that I do pitch in on, but that's the stuff that I comes to my head right now. I think I'm just there for whatever, really, just any sort of support. And so I mean, we have a group text and I'm pretty active on it every day. And so the off season's been pretty crazy, especially lately. It's been with Brad in Australia and all that. The timing of everybody communicating is in a much smaller window, but we're all getting excited. It's been crazy busy, but I think we got a great team in place, and I'm probably definitely a smaller piece of the team, but I am definitely involved in a lot or all of the decisions with High Limit.
You don't strike, I've talked to you numerous times, you don't strike me as a sit back and just put my name on it guy. It's not something that seems to be in your DNA, really. You're heavily involved. And what are some of the things maybe that you have maybe interjected your opinion about, if at all, if you could tell us that?
Well, I would disagree. I think, in the past, I not with anything sprint car, but with other, ventures that I've been in, I am more of a sit back and just kind of, if my name is on it, I'm fine with that, and kind of wherever it goes from there, I'm good with. But this I'm really passionate about. I'm really passionate about dirt racing, as everybody knows, and really passionate, especially about sprint car racing. So, with this series, I've wanted to be involved in, and I give Brad a lot of props too. Like he makes sure I'm involved, with most everything that's going on. So, without Brad, maybe I would not know about everything and be able to lend my thoughts and whatever. But I don't know like one specific thing. I mean, the format we've been going back and forth on a lot, for sure. So we've all kind of been a part of everything. So I wouldn't say there's one thing that I've really taken a lead on, but format stuff I would say maybe is one. But I would say this format's kind of a combination of all of our ideas. So I'm happy about that, and it seems like it's gotten good fan response so far.
Yeah, I did something on it this morning. I thought you hit a home run with the format. I can't see one thing I don't like about it. I think you hit a lot of different aspects. I think he took care of fans who want to see the guy who starts fourth act, race harder. I think that was a big one. And I like 32 more than 38 on the split. I like seating. I love seating the flights. I mean, we hear
Yeah.
so often about them being, lopsided. But um, what was putting that format together like for you guys? Because I know I talked to Brad. Brad didn't want inverts. It went back and forth. I know Kendra wanted inverts. And how does
Yeah.
how do you kind of balance all that?
It was yeah, I mean, it was interesting. It was kind of fun, to have a little bit of a debate with everybody. So in the beginning, like I was more, it's been my whole career, like it's your typical four heat race, whether there's an invert or not, you're gonna have four heat races and all that. And I was like, man, what if we did like two big heat races that are, rather than 8 laps, they're 12 or 14 or something. And um, so I thought that had a little bit of steam for a minute, but then, after really thinking about it more and discussing with other drivers and team owners and crew chiefs and everybody involved, I more agreed with them that, maybe the larger heat races would, could have the potential of hurting the show and, causing accidents and delays and such. So, yeah, then we kind of transitioned to, what we ended up with. And, it was just a lot of us, kind of just talking it over and trying to come up with like the fairest format, with some sort of invert, at least, for the quick time guys. And then giving them incentive too, to not just feel like they have to transfer. I've competed in Pennsylvania Speed Weeks and all-star shows. And, when you start fourth, it's just like, okay, I just have to beat one guy and I'm, locked into a dash spot and all that. Where what I really like about ours is, you start fourth and you win the heat, like you've done more than just, kick somebody out, I guess. You've guaranteed yourself, the front row probably. So yeah, I think it's good. We'll see how it, looks on the track, but I mean it's pretty similar to, what the All Stars had and Pennsylvania Speed Week had. So I've got confidence that it's going to be, just a little bit better than what was already out there.
So I hear Brad's the vision guy, and I hear you're an attention to detail guy. Um, I talked to Brad last night actually about the format, and he says you're really attention to detail. How's that dynamic work? I mean, you guys obviously, related through marriage. Now you're in this venture together. Does it just kind of mesh well with your personalities? Or is there sometimes you're like, no, no, we can't do that, where you're, I don't want to say arguing, but you're debating each other?
No, I mean, I think I probably did more debating early on when we were trying to like come up with ideas and stuff for the midweek thing. And where, just different ideas and where we thought the sport might go from a decision or whatever. um maybe I didn't have like 100% belief in what Brad's ideas were, but after seeing his visions and seeing how everything that he's basically predicted along the way has come true, I'm like, man, even if he's got a crazy idea, which he's got lots of them, like it's probably, you know how he sees us coming through it, or not even us but anything. He's probably right. So I've grown to, not that I'd never trusted him before, but I fully trust, what he's doing and what, his ideas are, because he's got a lot of experience. He's a really, I feel like, smart businessman too. So I think he's done a really good job in a short amount of time, with high limit. And I'm glad to see, his ideas really take off now.
How do you juggle all this? I mean, you're doing the NASCAR stuff. You're running a late model. Obviously last week flew back, ran Chili Bowl. And how do you juggle high limit into this and are able to devote enough time to it, even though you depend on your staff? And I got that, but you're still involved. How do you juggle that? I mean, do you have somebody who really does a good calendar for you, or how do you work that out?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people on my calendar, but I feel like I do, at least for the, dirt racing side of stuff, which, high limits are part of that. I kind of manage my own schedule on all of that. So I don't know. It's not too busy, and like I said, we have a nice group text with all of us in it, and it's just natural. Like it doesn't feel like you're working through anything. I guess we're all really passionate about sprint car racing and high limit, and want to see the best out of both. So, um, yeah, it doesn't feel like much more on my plate really at this point. But we've yet to go racing, and we've yet to run into any issues. I guess at this point, sitting in middle of January. So I'm sure once the season gets started, it'll be stressful, but at times. But again, like I think once the season starts, that's when I'm kind of more. I need to switch into more just the driver and competitor, and you know, not worry about the things when I'm at the track versus more just, talking to everybody during the week. So yeah, I just look forward to getting to East Bay and getting the season started, and kind of seeing what the fans think about, what we have going on.
How's your vision for high limit changed from that first race to where you are now?
Uh Man, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say because it was a short time ago, but it feels like a long time ago, and I honestly don't really remember, much. I think, I was really excited about the midweek stuff, because I had participated in the late model stuff for a couple of seasons, and I knew how successful that could be. And, um, I knew that that would kind of could be our own thing, but yeah, that's only going to go so far. And and it's not really going to move the needle enough for the sport of sprint car racing. So, um, I think early on into last year's season is when I really was like, man, we need to try and just keep growing sprint car racing and do it quicker. So yeah, I mean, we got to work on it, and not even that we got to work on it. We were already being presented opportunities without us really pursuing anything. And so I think when we were presented opportunities, that's when it really got our minds spinning, and where we could take things. So um yeah, and then just trying to learn and grow throughout this season, and just build on our knowledge, build on all of that, and then build the team that we've got now, which I think is great.
Some people there, obviously, people talk a lot on social media, fans and whatnot. One of the criticisms, uh, and I'm just addressing what I've seen, is you and Brad owning the series and running it. I'm sure you've heard this one at nauseum. What do you say to those people to kind of sway them back and say, "Hey, give us a chance"?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there's anything you can say to fans really sometimes, but I don't know. Yeah, like you said, they just got to believe, really. I mean, give us a chance. Like we haven't even ran a race yet. Obviously, Brad's going to be the guy to beat every night. He's been the best sprint car racer in the country the last 5 seasons. So, don't be surprised if he wins or whatever the championship at the end of the season. But that's shouldn't have any bearing. Just because he owns the series, he shouldn't be allowed to race in, or myself too. I mean, for me, like, when fans say I shouldn't race or whatever, it's like, well, I know a lot of fans just go to the races to see me race anyways. So, if you're not allowing me to race in my own series, then you're probably not going to go to the race. So, um, I don't know. It's just you fans all have an opinion, and but like I said, we're sitting here in January of 2024. We haven't even ran a race yet, so just give us a chance, and you'll see that our heads are in the right spot, right space, and we really just want the best for the sport.
How important is Mike Hess to this? Because I think when you guys brought in Mike Hess, we all know what happened at Tri City last year. Probably like to forget it, but
Yeah.
Mike Hess, to me, brings credibility. And from what I gather from Brad, he runs race day. So it almost, you guys are then just racers at that point. To me, or to you, do you feel that that kind of brings you instant credibility? And how important was that hire for that?
Yes, I think Mike Hess was an extremely important hire. He's got the respect of the whole industry. in sprint cars, from team owners and drivers or crew chiefs to race fans. So I think when we are able to hire him, it definitely gives us credibility, knowing that he's going to shoot things straight. He definitely has no favorites out there, even though some outlaw fans might think that Brad got some favoritism along the way, even though Mike Hess wasn't in the tower during Devil's Bowl. But um, he doesn't care who you are. So I think that's what you need for a guy like that, and definitely on race day, but even during the week, he's got lots of experience, traveling up and down the road, as a race director, but also as a racer throughout his career. So you need a guy like that, and especially I think what goes the furthest is just that he's respected by every single driver, every single sprint car driver throughout the country.
When you Are you surprised with the roster you got? I mean, the roster, in my opinion, I mean, I didn't expect it. I expected a decent roster. I didn't expect the depth and what you got. When you look over that thing for the national series overall, I mean, you got to be pleased.
Yeah, no, I am, and I think we're all a little bit surprised, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, I knew we would have some good drivers and whatnot, but I didn't know that we would have the depth for sure. And definitely didn't know that we would have this many drivers sign up right now. And I know that not all of them are probably going to be able to compete the whole season, but still, I mean, to have, what are we at, like 16, 17 or so right now, like that's pretty awesome for to see that teams trust us already. We've only ran 11 races as a organization to this point, but they obviously like what we're doing. They like where they see things going, and I think that just says a lot about the respect that they have for myself and Brad and the team that we have in place. Mike Hess, Kendra, everybody. So yeah, even though we haven't ran a race yet, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the lineup that we have, and um, I'm proud to know that we have at least an equal roster to what the Outlaws have, if not better. I think it's definitely, you can argue it at this point, which is cool. And I think that's great for sprint car racing too, to have this many nationally traveling teams. It's making our sport healthier, I believe. So I'm excited to see where things go, and I hope everyone enjoys what we're doing.
I think people have a misunderstanding. They think you and Brad or whoever's involved want to hurt the Outlaws. And to me, two series can exist. I publicly said that. I think they're two different things. I think they're two different models. If you could elaborate and kind of put that to rest, because you said something interesting there. Look at all the national teams you're going to have this year. We never had that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I look at the late model side of things. Like, you have World Outlaw and Lucas Oil, and gosh, World Outlaw probably has 18 traveling teams, and Lucas Oil probably has another 14 to 16. And you don't hear any race fans complaining about
No.
either one of the series trying to kill each other. But I think this is just new. It's just new in sprint car racing, and I think fans just assume things, and you can't fault them for that. Them being just solely sprint car fans, probably. But no, as you mentioned, we have two totally different business models, and I think the way we're trying to look at the future of sprint car racing is a little bit different than what the World Outlaws are, um, and I think too. I think with that, you could see over time the Outlaws have to change their business model a little bit, which is ultimately just going to make things healthier for the team owners on that side, and that's really the most important piece is to in my opinion, is to get these team owners to start at least not spending as much money at the end of the year. So and it's going to take time for us to even get to that point too, but I think we have a good plan in place, and again, that's due to Brad and his vision and his work ethic too.
Yeah, it'd be nice if they'd make a couple shekels. here. I mean, but you guys have been on an upward trajectory the whole time since this has been released. I don't think you've really had, in the public eye anyway, any hiccups. What has been the hardest thing about this whole process? Because we don't hear anything about that. What has been the most difficult thing to get to this point of where you are now?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, that would be a great question for Brad. I mean, what comes to mind for me is the schedule was really hard to piece together. The politics that go on behind the scenes, that made it really difficult for us. Being new and coming in and all of that. So yeah, that to me was really tough and difficult. But I also understand at the same point, why it should be tough for us. But I think over time, as the same thing goes with race fans, I think tracks and that we'll see, where our vision is at and how we do align with everybody in the sport. So yeah, I think the schedule has been tough, but I don't know. There's probably been a lot of other tough things along the way also. But again, the people that we have in place, they're great at what they do. They're super experienced, and I think more than anything, just the passion that we all have for sprint car racing is what's gonna fuel us to succeed over time.
Yeah, I want to just hit on a couple things racing related and that passion you talk about. A lot of people, especially in Pennsylvania, think your first ride was when you came in here with Suchi. Obviously, it didn't go well, but you were in California way before that. Can you tell people your first ride? Like, how old were you? Which one was it? And what was kind of that progression before you left California?
Yeah, so me, I was racing outlaw carts for my dad, um, and when I got to be 14, I got linked together with Dave and Debbie Vertulo, which they still race. They're the yellow 83V out there. Um, Brad actually ran for them, when he was getting started too. So they were kind of the one owner that would give a young guy an opportunity, and I was one of those young guys along the way. So I spent a few seasons with them, racing just around California. Ran Placerville. I don't know if I ever ran like fully weekly, but I ran Placerville a lot, Silver Dollar a lot, and then I ran the Civil War series, which is kind of like the SCCT tour now. And then I forget what year it was, but the third year I was with them, we ran the Golden State Championship, which is like NARC now. And then I got linked together or I became friends with Rico, and then his dad started to fund a lot of my racing. Well, and I'll back up before that too. What really got me in touch with Rico was Rich Stadelhofer. He became one of our biggest supporters with Dave and Debbie, and then I met Rico and Rich kind of helped me get to be with the Catings. And then the following year was when I started racing for like Paul Silva on the West Coast, but then Dave Abreu and Steve Succi on the East Coast. And then let's see, that would be like 2011 with Succi, and then 12 is when I got with or maybe 12, I don't remember, 12 or whatever was 2012 was definitely with Davy Jones and Dave Abreu stuff in Indiana. So that's when I raced a ton. I ran like 120 something races in 2012. So yeah, I don't know. It's been kind of crazy, and it gets blurry after a little while. But there's been some great supporters of mine along the way. So Dave Abreu and Rich Stadelhofer being two of the guys that really kind of got me to where I'm at now.
This passion. Look, you could have, I mean, obviously you like dirt track racing. It doesn't seem to matter what car, but it seems like there's a strong affection for sprint cars. Why sprint cars over everything else, it seems like?
Well, it's what I grew up watching, and it was my first love really, as a race fan. Before I ever raced a go-kart, I loved sprint car racing. So I wanted to someday race them. And then lucky enough for me, I mean, they're just the coolest race cars in the world. And most powerful, tough to handle cars out there, most exciting racing in my opinion too. So, um, yeah, I don't know, I just been around it and love it and love the power and all that. I've gotten to race a lot of different cars, and the sprint car is still the most fun to drive. And a lot of my best friends are in the sprint car racing too. And yeah, I just love it. But like you said, I love racing all types of dirt stuff. I love the dirt late model. I love midget racing, all of that. So, but sprint cars, is definitely where I'm probably most passionate about. For sprint car or for dirt track side of things. And then I just see a lot of opportunity with sprint car racing to grow. I feel like it's been growing. It's not like it's just been stale, but I feel like it could grow much quicker than it is. And I don't see any reason why we can't get it to the level that it deserves to be at, in my opinion. So this was us starting the high limit series. High limit racing was kind of our way of taking control and trying to hopefully get it to that point.
I got to ask you, as a reporter, I've talked to you after your wins or after a race, and I've interviewed a lot of guys over the years, whether it be other sports or racing. Your recall process, okay? There's 120 turns in a 30 lap race, okay? And how do you remember? You can recall, and I was again talking to Brad last night, a speck of dirt on lap 4 and turn 3, and that's where you made your move. Where does this recall process come from? I mean, Greg Hodnett had it. He's another guy, like, he could calculate how much money he was going to win running fourth as opposed to running third, but how much he could push the car with an abacus and a slide roll. It's amazing. But you have that same thing. Where does that come from?
I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe I feel like everybody can recall a race pretty well. I just get rambling in
No,
my
but
interview.
you're
So
right on it.
I need to land the plane sometimes. I get strung out too much. But um I don't know. I mean, I'm sure with just experience and confidence, things start to just slow down, in the cockpit. And your mind just you're so focused that things are just happening in a certain rhythm. So yeah, I mean, I run my heart rate, every race. It's not like I'm in there with a low heart rate. Like, my heart rate is maxed out. Every sprint car, every dirt race I run, my heart rate's maxed out. So it's not that I'm in there relaxed, but I don't know. I think I've just done a lot of studying over the years. I've watched, even going back to like my mom videotaping my go-kart races. Like, I would watch, if we had an hour and a half drive home, I would watch my races the whole way home on her little camcorder. And I think just studying myself and studying others and all that, when you get in the car, and you have success over time, like, things just you're just confident with moves you make, and then it just becomes habit and reaction, and you're really not even, like, I don't know, you're not really doing much thinking, you're just reacting. And I guess I can process that and remember it. That's one of the only things I guess I can remember for a short amount of time anyways, is things that happen in the race. Which, yeah, I go back and I definitely, I mean, I go back and listen to my own interviews really sometimes, just to, you know because just to learn from what I was thinking in that moment, because you forget sometimes later on down the road about the race. But once I listen to my interviews, I'm like, okay, that was going through my head at that point, which I think I can still learn from myself today.
Last thing, I'll get out of here again. Thank you for coming on. You have quite a dirt track portfolio. You have high limit. You have silver dollar with Brad. I think we didn't really hit on that, but you're owning that. You're running that right now. What is the future for you, and what is the future for high limit in regard to sprint car racing?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is like another new chapter, so it's kind of hard to see where things go from here. And obviously you'd like to see everything work out exactly as you want, but that's hardly ever the case. But um and we haven't even ran a race yet, so like it's really hard to predict where I see things going with high limit. But obviously I want it to be successful. I want it to continue to grow. I would love, I love our relationship with Flow, but I would love to see us end up on, network television someday in front of a bigger audience. I would love for the events to look differently. If we can get to a point where the fan experience is bigger and better, and you have more money to invest into making the fan experience something of a supercross event, or heck, even a NASCAR event at that point would be amazing. Just trying to up the ante for everything, I think, is important to me. But I also know that that doesn't happen overnight. It might not even happen in the next 3 to 5 years. But I think if we can progress to that point, sprint car racing can get to a level of which it deserves, and team owners can start to be profitable. Race drivers, although the top guys already make a good living, I would like to see the depth of fields start to make better money, to where you have more drivers and teams doing this for a living, and earning that way, and then you'll see bigger fields and all of that. But I don't know. I mean, it takes time and money and partnerships, and thankfully we have great partners already with Flow. And I'm sure as people and companies see what we're doing, and hopefully we're doing a good job, we'll have more that want to come on board and be a part of the vision, and part of growing sprint car racing into something big. I think hopefully 10 years from now, or more, we can look back on today in this interview and be proud of where we've come from since then.
Well, you guys pivot well. And I think that's something people kind of get stuck and don't want to change. You guys pivot quick when something's not right. The other thing is, I saw your Chili Bowl thing on social where you kind of just looked at I wouldn't say critique, but you gave your thoughts. And my thought was you were pretty in depth and thought out on that. Do you look at races different now that you're own a series, own a track, and almost very analytical to me?
Yeah, no, I think I definitely I think for so long I just worried about like the race and what I need to do to go win a race. And yeah, I think now, since owning a series, I probably look at it from a different angle of, how do we make the show better? How do we make the event smoother? How do we make it better for casual fans? How do we make it better for just everybody involved? And the Chili Bowl, for example, is a great event. I mean, everybody knows that. I mean, it's got, gosh, probably 20,000 people or close to it in that building on Saturday night. And it seems like every year there's so much momentum until the 55 lap feature, and then it's like that's all everybody talks about is how boring the race was. Where I think, and I said it in my notes or whatever, but I think they're just at a lose-lose at this point. The track prep crew is, and I think when you get to that point, you just got to look at things from a different perspective, and you have to pivot, as you mentioned, and change some things to keep the event is still the same. It's just laid out a little bit differently to help your main product on Saturday, which is really what's gonna ultimately be the thing that everybody remembers. And you want to leave them with or have the race fan leave with a positive view of the event. So yeah, I mean, I definitely have a lot of ideas on how to make it look different, and I think that it would be better. And it's just I've been working with Wikipedia a little bit, and we're getting, he's got a nice spreadsheet of a format already. We just gotta present it to somebody at the Chili Bowl.
Well, Kyle, again, thank you for coming on. I know you're busy. I appreciate the time. And yeah, I think you've grown obviously as a driver, and also I see it from the promoting notes, thinking about things outside of racing. So I applaud you for that. But again, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks. It was fun.
That wraps up this edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com deep dive presented by EnTrust IT Solutions. Thanks again to Kyle Larson for joining the show, and we will be back next Thursday night with another guest. Stay tuned.